MidwayPlus, two industry experts. One came from a lot of history of a WD, the other one from suppliers, manufacturers, and boy, did they create a new software. Industry guys that know and see this missing part, but it's a software to help suppliers and buyers, pretty much like us, but quite different. You'll learn this.
Absolutely. So, Joe, thank you for being back with us. And we had a great morning. And then we have, okay, good morning. You guys are together. That's wonderful. So without any further waits, Joe, why don't you take on? Joe is on mute. So, Joe, you're on mute. And there you go.
I'm not on mute anymore. I'm good. Thank you. Sorry about that. My apologies. Francisque and Judy, thank you much. Brian and Albert, welcome. MidwayPlus, so excited hearing Judy talk a little bit about it. This is an area, as I have found, and certainly the conversations I've had, when something is working, people just go with it, and maybe they don't even investigate the newest, latest, greatest technologies. But that's what EPAR Trade Industry Week is for, right? To showcase some of the new technologies, vertical integration, things that can help the business owner streamline what they are doing, make things a little easier. So why don't you tell us a little bit about MidwayPlus and why it is so cutting edge?
Well, first of all, thank you to Judy and Francisque and the EPAR Trade Network for having us here. I mean, it's amazing introduction, the way to kick off Race Industry Week for us here. Joseph, a pleasure to have you be our host today. And so MidwayPlus, quite simply put, is a business-to-business portal. Of course, we don't, not simple is easy, but that's the reference point that the industry will be able to relate to. But we are in fact kind of like beginnings of digital transformation, and that, you know, those two words are a little bit more complex and a little more involved. But for the sake of a reference that everyone can relate to, it's an amazing business-to-business portal tool that has been built by the team.
Tremendous. And, you know, Judy referenced your past experience. So let's start off there, the origin story of this. Why did you feel like this was necessary based on your work and life experience? And how did that come together? I always love to give the background.
Well, I'll go with that. So it was me working at a distributor, and I'm heavily into operations and streamlining things. And I watched the way that we did orders with the manufacturers and the way that our customers interacted with us. And we had streamlined the way that our customers could order and purchase from us, and we could manage that scale. But the manufacturers were lagging a little bit. And I thought, God, if we could just get them a little bit of this technology to help them, it would help everybody. Because even when we cut a purchase order at a distributor, and let's say it's a $50,000 or $1 million PO, the time it took a manufacturer to actually complete that purchase order, that actually would cause us a little bit of grief, because we had customers really wanting that product. If we could have known that that was accepted, received, and was being worked on, that would have helped us speed things up and allowed us to actually control our inventory more, thus supporting that manufacturer more. So that's really what got this started, is just watching from a vantage point of how we cut purchase orders with the manufacturer and seeing that there's a lot of room to make that better. And I wanted to help the manufacturers stay competitive in the modern world and help them translate all that product data they've been working on for years and get that into a place where they can actually service their customers in a better way.
Yeah. And you mentioned, you asked origin stories, right? So Brian has sat, you know, he's had a front row seat in an organization that was processing thousands of orders a day, serving thousands of customers. And myself, I was that manufacturer that he always wished that he could help. And so I've always sat in the role of sales leadership and brand creation in our industry, having always wished, you know, access to the tools that Brian's organization was delivering. So being able to process orders, believe it or not, is a problem for many manufacturers. You know, Joseph, they'll bring to market these amazing, complex, technically advanced product solutions for today's modern vehicle, but you know, often the engagement with the business and order placement and the administrative side unfortunately isn't necessarily always as advanced.
That makes sense. And so on that note, before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, of it. The people who are out there who should be sparking with attention right now, like what kind of businesses should be paying attention to this as we talk about the go-to-market strategy and digital modernization?
Well,
I've seen it from one side to the next. I mean, you can have the smallest manufacturer that just being able to service their customer and allow them to make a purchase order with them that they can simply put into their ERP. It can be the smallest manufacturer. We have multi-billion-dollar companies that work with us because their order processing is so complex from the legacy systems they use that it has to go through 15 different people before it actually can get like a price check. So it slows down business. What I mean by slow down is we would commonly cut a purchase order at Modernizing, the distribution company I was at, and it would take 4 days for a manufacturer to process that order. That same manufacturer that I know of that uses our system, they ship same day now. The order goes into their ERP, we bolt right into the ERP, and they ship the same day. So that customer service level, it was exponentially increased. So it doesn't matter if you're small or big. We are hyper-focused on making that transaction and all the support that's needed the best it can be, so your customers can easily buy your product, easily get your product data, easily get support after the sale, using all of your business rules.
Yeah, and it's like to Brian's point, it's the ideal profile is for a MidwayPlus partner is a manufacturer that's looking to streamline their processes with their client, having the client offering the client a more modern order entry experience. We've all become accustomed to placing orders on our mobiles as a simple reference, right? So before it was online on a desktop, now it's online on your mobile. And through MidwayPlus, we offer so many different options for order placement in a more modernized way. That's the key.
Okay, so let's talk about how it all works, digital transformation. And I know there are some details, Albert, that you want to get into about, to purchase something retail is pretty easy, right? Or you just go online, you click, you order it, whatever. But when you're wholesaling from a company, then there's another layer or multiple layers that make things a lot more complex to set up in a system. So tell us a little bit about MidwayPlus and how it all works.
Yeah, and it's again, the idea is that we've solved the consumer transaction. There's a million different solutions out there that allow anybody to go in, price is MSRP or whatever the selling price is, and the only variable is a freight consideration. I always say if there's a coupon out there, I'm never the one to enjoy the coupon, but that is probably the extent of the complexity on the consumer transaction. On the wholesale transaction, we've beat it around the team here, and is what 80.
They're
80
infinitely, they're infinitely complex. When you're buying from a manufacturer, you're always negotiating different programs. You might say that this cam, if I buy it in a set of 5, I get an extra 2% off, or I get free freight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the manufacturer then hand writes all those things down. And every time that purchase order then comes from that buyer, they have to mentally remember that and do it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, for the person that's the buyer, often what happened to us is we would actually have an error in receiving and say this is the wrong price and go back to work with the manufacturer. So there's a lot of errors that happen because there's so many complications in that B2B transaction that what a manufacturer does with our system is they just set all the rules per customer. Yeah. And then that transaction is always going to happen exactly the same over and over and over again. So it smooths out everybody's part.
Yeah, those systems, all those variables for that wholesale transaction aren't accounted for in the existing system. So we often depend, as a manufacturer, we'll often depend on that tribal knowledge to exist with an order entry clerk, or to have those parameters or those certain, whatever conditions around that relationship. It might exist in a file that someone has to reference. What we've done with MidwayPlus is we've created we built a portal that allows the manufacturer to account for all the special pricing nuances, freight nuances, payment term, nuances, and the list goes on. So you're no longer dependent on that single order entry clerk to remember exactly how customer ABC has to have their orders processed.
Yeah, and the 80 things we talked about, they can be as simple as this product itself can't be purchased by this customer.
Yeah.
But this other customer can buy it. So all of those rules are held, like he said, in tribal knowledge. It could be that this customer gets a better freight program than this one does. Because if you're doing B2B, you're always negotiating with your buyers because you're trying to influence and purchase the things that are important to you because you see them as some sort of category influencer. You want, your top Mustang people to have the best deal on some Mustang product. You want to influence one of those things. And you have to remember all those deals you made. You're about to go to a trade show. You're going to negotiate some better deals. You're going to write it down on a pad of paper. And then in 2 years from now, it's going to have errors. And in 6 months from now, it's going to have errors.
Very interesting. And so how does it work for people to reach out to you, people that are interested? And what is the first step to beginning to use MidwayPlus and integrating the solution?
Well, again, first step is you can reach out to us on midwayplus.com. We have a couple different pathways into the beginning and engagement with us. As a manufacturer, especially ePart Trade, with their global reach, we see ourselves as being an incredible piece of technology or a critical technology partner to some of the international brands that are looking to enter into the North American market. We do make that selling process into the high performance and accessory market much easier than it was 5, 10, 20 years ago. So beginning the inquiry on our website is ideal. Again, we're accessible through our social, through ePart Trade.
You can hit us up through ePart Trade and connect you there. And yeah, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn any way you want to.
And this is a specialized software for the industry. I'd like you to elaborate a little bit on that, on how you went through the development process, keeping it simple, low tech, not a crazy, expensive, customized solution for each person. Like people can get stuff designed for themselves, but that costs a considerable amount. You guys have created a solution that is, I don't know if the word plug and play works, but it seems like it.
It's pretty easy to get it integrated. And how it was built and was designed based off is that in my past life, as long as a couple of team members, we had to build all of the software ourselves at the distribution company. So we got very used to making wholesale transaction portals to service the customer. We are very aware of what that customer wants to see, what data is very important to them when they're doing the transaction, and simplifying in a way of not giving them noise. There's a lot of stuff that a B2B buyer doesn't want to do. A B2B buyer wants to get into the system, they want to buy their product, and they want to get out. They're not shopping, they're doing it as a necessity. It's very different than a retail transaction. The next part they want to come into is they want to check to see if the invoice was placed, is there tracking? We do send all the tracking information to keep those customers updated, but it's designed fully off of a decade of making software for wholesale transactions that we then took to the manufacturers to give them an upper hand against their competitors if they want, to make it better for them to service their customers. 75% of buyers now want to buy online.
Correct. And
B2B buyers.
And Joe, I always joked around. It's Brian says he came from a wholesale distribution background. I'll argue that he came from a technology background who proved out his solution in a wholesale distribution company.
Excellent. And there's a question in the chat section about demos. I would imagine you guys work directly with these companies who are your clients to, smooth things out, make sure that they get up to speed. Talk a little bit about the customer service that goes along with the product.
Okay, so yeah, demos, of course. We will. Your manufacturer who's interested in again modernizing your client buying experience, and that's through all your channels. So know that we can effectively connect with your wholesale distribution customers. We can connect with your direct retail customers overseas, anywhere and everywhere. So those connections exist on our platform. One of our motto is again, it's your channels, your strategies, and it's your portal. So we are just exclusively a technology partner.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to mention, Joseph, is that when it comes to like the overall experience for one of our customers, and the customer for us is the brand. That's the only customer that we have. That's who pays us. Their customers are their users through the portal. If somebody has a necessity, like there's a certain way that you want the system to work with your customers, we write all of our own code. It's all here written in the United States. One of our business partners is actually the developer. We make it, and the developer, myself, and the CIO actually wrote code for wholesale distribution. So we understand how to do these transactions. We also pick, packed, and shipped. We know what it is to purchase. We know all these things. So when you contract with us, it's not like you're getting somebody that sold, washers and dryers. We understand completely what you go through as a manufacturer. We also understand what your buyers want. So it's built based around that. So even if you want something special, we can work with you. We can write extra code.
That's great. That's great. Well, the simplification of it, the one thing that you can't really buy more of is time. And to give people on all ends of this process a little more time, simplify the process, I think is going to have a lot of people interested. If you're out there and you have a question for Al or Brian, please put it in the chat section by all means. So is MidwayPlus, is it an ERP? Is it a CRM? Talk a little bit about helping manufacturers adapt with the technology.
So I'm very familiar with ERPs. Our business partner that's not in the room, he actually has installed 12 ERP systems. He enjoys installing ERP systems. Our product is an ERP enhancement tool. So often when a manufacturer is going to buy an ERP system, they're trying to solve a lot of problems. And often what they're trying to solve are the things that we've built. The ERP system usually fails to do those things. We are meant to incorporate into your ERP directly to work with your customers. And we can even build a bridge, an API or EDI to actually incorporate with your larger customers that want completely digital experience. They don't want to log in, they just want to buy. So we're closer to an ERP system than anything else. For as far as the CRM goes, you can manage your customers inside the system, but a lot of it's based off of sales. CRM is customer relation management. I'm all about sales. It's more of a sales management system. You can see how much your customers bought, how many times they've logged in, how many impressions. It's about encourage them, that certain customer, to do more transactions with you.
I do get nervous when he starts saying that we're like an ERP, because again, ERP implementations are horrendous, costly, and again, it's like sorry, I will argue that what we do is in that enhancement piece, like we always say, we do the things you wish your ERP could do. So it's heavily focused on that front end, that client facing experience, the order transaction component. There's a communication piece on board, as well as an amazing marketing tool. So it does quite a bit more to extend the life of your existing system. So this industry is chock full of brands and manufacturers that again have these amazing 5-axis tools in the back, machines that are modern, but again, what's being processed or what's being used to process the transaction and account for all the financing is perhaps a simple QuickBooks license. So what we do is we integrate wonderfully with QuickBooks to offer a more modern buying and client-facing experience.
Yeah, and to help Albert with his scariness of the ERP, generally it takes us anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks to get a manufacturer up and live. And we have plugins for NetSuite, SAP, QuickBooks, Activate. We're going to work on one for Fishbowl pretty soon. But it's all seamless. I mean, when we start incorporating with a manufacturer, we ask for your product data. I personally help go through that to make sure it's sorted correctly. I've spent my entire life in automotive. I was a mechanic for 10 years. If you've got a category you need some help with, I can do that.
Yeah.
You're getting software from people that you'd never think would make software. We're gearheads. We're car people that know how to make software.
It's crazy. I think that again, to the ERP component too, is when you invest in an ERP, you're often stuck in time. So whatever it was that you invested in and what you've implemented, you're frozen. That's the solution in time. Anyone who works or engages with us with MidwayPlus has a license for a technology that's continuously evolving, and tools are being introduced almost on a weekly basis.
Very good. So when people are buying products from MidwayPlus, are they buying for you or the company? Explain a little bit how that works.
It's yes, no. What you're doing is it's a transaction directly with the brand. All we are is the software. So as an example, an inexpensive shopping cart can be purchased by a number of different vendors out there. There is Shopify as an example is one of them, and a very simple solution. Ours is, I will say that the Shopify version, as an example, is like Android with all the plugins and all the apps, and almost like an Android example, while we're more of the Apple all included. Everything is native, and all the functions are there for a manufacturer to use. But it's a direct transaction with the manufacturer.
Yeah, we don't collect the funds. The funds go directly to the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Excellent. What a good analogy that everybody has got in their pocket and they can completely understand. What about some of the tools? Well, go ahead.
No. I thought it may have been a little bit taboo saying that, but I think it's one that everyone can relate to.
We can all relate to that. It's funny how you're one or the other, right? The way it all works out. But what about some of the tools that you guys have incorporated? You've mentioned them, but can you give us some more examples that have called upon your wide experience in all of these areas to help manufacturers simplify this process? Like, what are some of the tools that are helpful in your opinion?
I think rebate is one of them, and I think sales and freight programs, Albert, if you want to say from a manufacturer standpoint. I watched manufacturers struggle with all the programs we had as a wholesale distributor. So we built these things in for the manufacturer to work with their customers.
So as a client management tool, we offer, again, ability to manage rebates, ability to manage again, clients and coupons and promotions. These are, again, considerations that a sales manager would extend to a customer, but would typically have to manage and account for that rebate in a program outside of the operating system.
You got it in Excel. You offer one of your customers a 5% back if they do 100 grand for the year. You got to sit there and count all of those POs in accounting. You got to make sure you got them all tracked. Our system keeps track of everything. So if you make a 5% at 100 grand, and you can do it per SKU, and you can do it per category if you wanted to, and you can do multiple rebates per customer, at the end of the cycle for however long the rebate was engaged, if you say it's a year-long rebate or 6 months, once it's achieved, we place a credit memo on the account for that customer to then spend with the manufacturer. So not only is it easy for the manufacturer, I know that we had rebates at Motivicity, we were constantly chasing them to get the payout. It usually take 4 months to get the payout back. This is something that both parties can enjoy very much.
So tracking clients, but also being able to market to them on platform. Manufacturers on MidwayPlus can market directly to their own customers in a way that you can't necessarily on traditional or consumer-facing social media. So we've created a closed marketing environment or a social environment where you can post, and we can provide all the analytics on who consumed that post, how many part lookups came as a result of that post. There's some amazing, powerful tools here that the manufacturer, again, doesn't have access to.
Oh, that is great. That is great. But the performance industry is also very international, as is this show going around the world. What solutions, how do you guys work with some of the international manufacturers out there, especially those shipping into our coveted United States market?
Well, we have some unique things we can do for international. I mean, one of the problems that international has is that they can't see what's going on in the United States necessarily. Where if somebody's using our system, it doesn't matter if they're in Australia or Belgium, they can log in and look at their customers' interaction. They can look at those same analytics and they can see all those transactions. So it's one thing is they get a clear line of visibility of their customers. They can talk to them. There's messaging systems throughout the product where you can directly communicate with them. You can send files, you can send photos, all those things.
Transmit data.
You can transmit data. The other part of it that really helps an international manufacturer is we actually have all the tax integration built in. So for that manufacturer, all the tax, state sales tax compliance that you need to do, that's all built into the system. So you don't have to learn about the United States, and that Wisconsin charges economic nexus at 100,000 as an example, or Michigan does it over 200 transactions. That's all done by us. So it makes your business really simple. And on top of that, we have relationships with carriers to where we can get you a freight program to really get a reduced freight rate. And we have partnerships with third-party logistics companies where if you want to put it into a building in the United States, you can have it shipped from there. So you can operate from another country completely in the United States and not even have your foot in it.
Yeah, and with the marketing component, they're promoting their brand, they're promoting their product line, and converting any interest into transactions in the shortest possible way.
Is there anything that we have yet to cover that you guys wanted to go into regarding MidwayPlus and some of the benefits, obviously where and how to get connected? We could talk pricing as well. That's up to you. But if there's something that we haven't touched on, let's do it.
So well, earlier in the conversation, we said that we can serve the interests of the startup, the one-man person who's built an amazing solution, wants to take it to market. while we have an amazing enterprise quality tech that, billion-dollar organizations could benefit from. So, and everyone in between. From a pricing standpoint, again, he said ERP and everyone gets scared because there's typically a big bill tied to that. When it comes to our solution, it scales up amazingly with your wholesale volume threshold. So anybody who's interested, we encourage you, reach out, MidwayPlus.com. We'd love to give you a sneak peek of what we're doing and give you an idea that if that amazing technology doesn't have to break your budget.
Brian, was there anything else that you wanted to dig into as we learn a little bit more about this? I know that this is like people want go fast parts, they want to go fast, but this is one of those like hidden just beneath the surface that if you can smooth out all these different transactions, order confirmations, receipts, et cetera, and so on, it can make the life of someone who's actually making those go fast parts a lot easier.
Yeah, the only part I'd say is that we enjoy very much helping a manufacturer's operations. We love helping a brand realize money that they were spending through complicated operations and simplify their business to just make their customers happy.
Yeah.
People want to buy and they want to buy in an easy fashion. If manufacturers spend so much money on making great products, they should think about how the transaction happens as well.
Brian, you gave me a personal demo of how your software works. You have thought of things that I'd never even heard of before. I compliment your software, and I've seen a lot of the brands that are coming on board using you, and I commend you for that. Some great companies already.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, Albert.
Thanks, guys.
Registering on ePartrade is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to ePartrade.